Good evening, folks from the world of Kendo. Today I'd like to share my thoughts on the World Kendo Championships, which were held at Nippon Budokan on the weekend. I just came back on Sunday, and a lot of people were asking me about my thoughts about the Taikai, and so I thought to put my thoughts together and share it with everyone, and share the link of the video to the people so that they could watch it. I'm sorry it's going to be in English and not in Japanese, because sorry to my friends, but of course if you're 6 dan and above, you don't even have to look at this video. It's no new concept, it's just what I felt and what I thought about the Taikai. I'd just like to cover about 4 or 5 topics here. The first topic is why I thought that the Japanese always win, or why they won this year. Basically, the reason I felt that the difference between a Japanese Kenshi and any other country, even Korea included, would be the Riai. The first point, the understanding of Riai. I've just jotted some points down, and the first point that came to my mind was the understanding of the Riai. In fact, the Japanese Kenshis showed that they have a deep understanding of the Ma'ai and the distance between the two shinais and the center, and only when both were achieved, the Ma'ai, the correct distance for the for me to hit, and the center was achieved by the Kenshi, only then he would strike. And this is kind of a understanding that is engraved into the Japanese kids ever since they begin learning Kendo in school. And unless they have an opportunity, they do not attack. So I saw that there was a kind of a deep understanding for the Riai, and also the technique was embodied in the mind as well as in the spirit, which is also called Shingi, which is mind and technique, and mind and technique were one for every strike that they did. Had omoikiri, which is a decisive strike. So these were the points that made them win, and which would make them win every time. So the question is now, why? Don't the foreigners know this? Don't foreigners learn about Riai when they learn about Kendo? Yes, they do, of course. The answer is yes. If there was a Shinsa and a person would go for his Rokudan or Godan, Yondan, he would learn from his sensei, and that you just don't hit because you think you should get a point. You hit when you have the center and the Ma'ai together, and at that point you decide that this is the moment I should go for the men, and you attack, and that makes the perfect ippon. And it's a very spontaneous decision you make at that point, and you learn about it. You learn about it from your senseis. Senseis talk about it at the dojo every time. So at the end of the Shinsa, you felt you did a good job and you pass. So I think even non-Japanese people would learn, like I learned about Riai. It took me a lot of time to actually put it into practice. But why is Riai important? Because that is what makes the difference between winning and losing. So the question is that should you use the Riai to win the Shiai? Of course, that's how Kendo is meant to be. That's the way of Kendo, where you use Riai and reason to hit and get the ippon, and without the Riai, there is no reason to attack. So if when a kid is learning Kendo in school, and he's a little kid, and he would just boom, he would attack. Sensei would be so angry at him. The sensei would tell him, "Why did you hit?" I mean, was there a reason you hit? Did you have the mind? Did you have the center? Did you have the opportunity? Was I sleeping? Did I have the four shikais? Why did you attack me? If there is no reason you attack me, you get right on your nodo, you get the kensen right there. So why did you attack me? So the children are taught not to attack without reason, and this, when they grow up and they become 24, 21, like Takenouchi Yuya, you just have spontaneous reaction to attack. And of course this would happen if you go up your grades in kendo. And the foreigners, everybody except for Japanese and Nikkei people from Brazil, probably they learned it from their senseis, and they understood that the only reason that they could attack was when they see an opportunity to attack, when they think that now is the time to attack, because maybe they think they could be lucky, they could catch the opponent sleeping. But most of the time the opponents are very alert and they are not sleeping, they are concentrated, and the only way you can tell is by the kensen. If the kensen is sleeping, he's sleeping, it's the time to enter and attack. And if the kensen is not sleeping and the kensen is alert and is following you every center you make, it's not the right time to attack. If you do, you probably end up with a kaishimen or a debana kote. You'd probably lose the point. So what I'm trying to say is, the difference between a foreign kenshi and a Japanese kenshi could be riai. That's what I felt it is. You may feel differently, because there were a million people at the Nippon Budokan looking at the shiai, and they would have their own a million thoughts. But this is what I felt was one of the important points. Alright, coming to the next difference. First I talked about was Shingi, and the other one was Riai. The other one I felt was Tenouchi. And the Tenouchi is the sai, or the hit, which is the use of the hand, the skill of the hand. But I think that as far as skill of the hand is concerned, I would like to give it to the Koreans. Yes. The Korean teams were very relaxed. They would be always, jumping, even in Subaderia, but that's too much. But that's okay. I mean, as long as it gets their legs to relax, and it gets their hands to relax, and they would be always very relaxed, and don't take any stress in their body, and don't show that kind of a thing. So this allows the Koreans to have a very good tenouchi. I was so surprised, because the main strikes that they did was so loud. And normally if a person would do the man, it would just be like, and okay, menari, and the flag goes up. But when the Koreans did their men, the sound was like, and I thought, wow, man, Koreans, these guys have really good tenouchi. I really give it to them. And this was very impressive. And the only way you can probably get a good tenouchi is obviously by being relaxed, and also by understanding the mechanics of the of your tsuka, how to use the tsuka, and keep your left little pinky always holding the shinai really tightly, keep your right hand loose, and the kind of tenouchi. So I think thumbs up to the Koreans. They had very good tenouchi, very impressive. Now the next point is Kiken Taichi. Now in terms of Kiken Taichi, I think I would give it to the Japanese. The Japanese were always bang on the mark. So what I mean by that is that even if they hit thinking it's not a Nippon, I mean just to try the opponent, to see if the opponent, how it reacts to the hit, and at Tsubazeria to see how the opponent reacts when you try to hit. Even at an empty strike, an empty strike is what I define as a purposely made strike, which is not determined to be an ippon, and the kenshi realizes it. He knows it, that this is not an ippon, I'm just doing it to check my opponent out. This could be an empty strike. Just my definition. So if he makes this empty strike, even then it's kiken taichi. His feet, his strike, and his kiai sound perfectly together. Bam! It's always perfect. Now, because they're so good with kiken taichi, they don't really need to hit from an impossible mai. They don't really need to hit that, because every strike has kiken taichi. So every strike is omoi. It's weighty. It's powerful. So they don't need to go beyond the mai. So one of the main strikes I saw from the Koreans were like, Thoma. It was like away, and then from there, pam, they jumped. Of course, they had good tenochi, so the strike was very beautiful and it made a good sound. But did the fumikomi and the strike and your kiai, were they simultaneously together? The answer is probably no, because from an impossible distance it's really hard to actually get all the three together. But if it is your ma'ai, that is it's your ma'ai, you're comfortable with your distance, and then you make the three together, the ki, ken, taichi, you will have a good ippon strike, you will have a good tenoichi, and you can also have a good zanshin. So all these things put together, ki, ken, taichi, I think the Japanese, they were number one. Alright, now coming to the next topic, which I kind of felt in the final match against Japan and Korea, was sticky kendo. It was kind of in the Jiho match where Katsumi essentially lost by 2 ippons. I think both the ippons were sticky kendo, which is, what I mean is that from Suba, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. You go from Toma, then you go to Shokujin no Ma, and then you go to your Ma'ai. Now, as soon as you are in your Ma'ai, which is of course the Isokuito no Mae, which is the right time to attack, 1 foot, 1 hit, 1 kiai mode, and from there you try and you think that okay, it's Aimen, both of them, and together you get into Subazeriai. As soon as you get into Subazeriai, you go back to Isokuito no Mae, and then you go back to Shokujin no Ma'ai, and then you go back to the Toma, and then you start again with your kiai, and then you start again. So this cycle, it's repeated many times in a shiai, many times. And of course, anybody who's training regularly kendo is probably very used to doing subazeriai and then going back outside and going outside and starting again. So it's kind of an understanding between the opponents. But what he did, I mean, this particular Jiho from Korea, as soon as subazeriai, as soon as he was into Isokuito no Mae, because Isokuito no Mae you can hit, and PAM, he goes back again and he hits Katsumi for the first time, and he does it for the second time, and he gets both the men. Now the second time is worse, because Katsumi knew that he would probably do it again, and he tried to evade it, but the the zanshin, or the show of the body to the opponent, to the judges, the shimpans, was so strong that okay, the shimpan had to raise the flag. There was no choice. So I think this cycle, which goes between all the three, were kind of a weak point, and where Japan lost 2 points. And Miyazaki Kantoku, he was right there. He saw it, of course, because he's the most intelligent kendoka probably of this entire century. He saw this and he told his next guys, Shodai was coming in at Chuken, and then Ando was coming in at Fukusho. He told them that these guys are, they probably be careful from the Subazeri. As soon as you part ways, at Isokuito no Mae, they might attack again, because Miyazaki warned them. And that's why you see that Ando, he does, he keeps his hand all the time when he's separating, keeps his hand, and and the what happened as a result was his shinai was kept at the neck of the opponent, and he was taking too long to separate, and the Korean guy was doing some kind of a locking technique, and with the right hand over here and trying to lock his shinai, and when this went too long, the Shimpan raised the flag, gogi, and then gave a hansuku to Ando Senshu. So this happened because Ando Sensei was kind of a keikai. He knew that he may attack from the separation, so he was trying to avoid what Katsumi already had flawed in. So at that point, what happened was when it became too much, the Sushin made another gogi and decided, okay, should I give Ando the second hansoku? If I do that, then the Koreans get a nippon. But it was a good decision between the Gogi and Lehman Sensei and Marcus Ray from Finland, and they all the three talked, and they decided, okay, just leave this. I mean, just give him a warning, but do not foul him. So that's how Ando was saved. But when it came to Uchimura, it was a different world. Uchimura was so strong in his Kamai and Subazeriai that the Taisho from Korea had literally to push him away with his hands to say that stop coming at me, and Uchimura would be still going ahead like a scale and pushing at him. So it was really impressive to see that the Subazeriai technique couldn't work on him. Of course, I mean, Uchimura is 36. He's a veteran of Shiais, and he's won the All Japan twice. So you couldn't be able to catch him with any other intelligent trick, I believe. So, and the last point I have for today is Ashisabaki, which is footwork. So when the first time I came to Japan, I was so impressed with everybody, the kids, the adults, everybody had so good footwork. Footwork was it was so much a part of the training that they had very nice footwork, very relaxed. So I appreciate the Koreans because they always kept jumping like taekwondo. Of course, if you keep jumping too much, it becomes more taekwondo and less kendo. But they tried to do that because I believe they wanted to relax their feet and have good footwork. I totally give it to them. But as far as kendo footwork is concerned, Japanese senshus had a good footwork. They had a good fumikomi, and because of good fumikomi and good footwork, I think that so much of strength in their uchi, or so much of power in their arms, is not essential. It's not essential. Even if you look at the women's finals, you would see that Matsumoto Senshu, who won the individuals, she made a men on Korean Senshu, which didn't even make a sound on the main strike. It didn't even make a sound. So why did the flags go up? The flags went up because the fumikumi sound was enough. The fumikumi was so good, and the timing and the kiken taichi all together, and the kiai was so perfectly timed that even if you didn't really cut through the head right up to the neck of the person, it doesn't matter, because the fumikumi's power takes your strike forward, boom, and as you do that, it's an automatic flag up reaction. I mean, it's like a machine for the shimpans, boom, they hear that and ta, the flag goes up. So this is about the amazing footwork that they showed. So now basically putting all these things together, let's have two sides, okay? Let's have the white side with the Koreans on one side, let's have the red side with the Japanese on one side. So what do the Japanese have in their bag? They have good riai, good kiken taichi, and they have a good fumikomi and ashisabaki, and of course they have a shingi, which is good technique, really put inside the hots when they're training. So they have all these artistic qualities inside their kendo, which makes it more like a art, like a martial art. So they have it inside. So now, can Koreans or the Spanish guys or the French guys or the German guys, any other country in the world, can you beat them at that? Probably not. So I really appreciate the Koreans' thought on changing the game plan, on using a different game plan to beat the Japanese or to beat the best. They use taller senshus. Everybody's like 185, 190. Everybody's tall. I didn't see anybody who's about 170. They use young guys, 24, 25, straight out of university, in a prime. And then they use fast, and on top of that they're really relaxed. The hands are relaxed, the body is relaxed. Even if it's a taisho and they want to win, their bodies are relaxed. I mean, of course, mentally they want to win, so they show their frustration and desperation, but the bodies are relaxed, the legs are relaxed. They can attack at different distances, at far distances, at closer distances. Good hiki and all good kaishi waza, very good kaishi do, and a crack to do, pack. So these things were a part of their arsenal. Now, of course, they had very strong fumikomi as well, because their legs were relaxed. Now, this is the bag full of Koreans, and this is a bag full of techniques which the Japanese have. Now, how do you win? How do you beat the artistic and Korean sport? It's more like a sport, because you use power and speed and technique and all these things. Now, this could happen. I mean, from an impossible distance for a normal person to jump and make a perfect man with a perfect sound could be possible for a young guy who is tall, who is in prime, who is in his full strength, about 24, 25 years of age. They use this tactic, they use this strategy to beat the Japanese. I totally respect it. I totally respect and honor what they think, and I think if you want to beat the Japanese, probably this is a good strategy to win the next World Cup at Incheon in South Korea. But the only thing that would probably make a hairline difference between winning and losing could be this Riai. I think at the end of the day it comes back to Riai. So what I felt was the Riai, that is, you go for the center, you see the opportunity, either you break his center, or you take away, or you show your seme, and then the opponent reacts. He kind of shows some fear or some mistake or some flops, and boom, you take advantage of the opportunity. I think if that gets into anybody's kendo, there is a pretty good chance of winning. So what happens was, basically, in order to win, you try to do techniques which are just at the heat of the moment in order to get the point. But if you keep your cool and follow the Riai, I think there is no way that you could lose. Because I felt that Uchimura, who had a very strong center, and he had a very strong Kamai in the finals, was hit twice, kote, by the Taisho of Korea, twice, and it made a very good sound, like katak on the kote twice, but the flags didn't go up. Nobody raised the flag. Why wasn't the 2 points counted? It was because Uchimura didn't move. His hands didn't move. His taise didn't move. He wasn't even touched. He stood there like a mountain. So I think no matter how good your strike is, no matter how far you can lunge, and no matter how good sound you can make and how good fumikumi you can make, if you are not able to break the taise of the opponent, if you're not able to make him move from your seme, it's not going to be any point. And one of my friends, Lisa, who's I think she's in the Netherlands team, I saw her match with a Japanese girl the other day on Saturday, and of course she lost, but the seme she had was woof. I mean, she did one seme and the Japanese girl went back 2 steps and did another semi, and she went back another 2 steps. So that at that instance, like, I was like, wow. I mean, this girl Lisa, oh my god, she has such a strong semi, you know. She made the girl go back twice. That was really impressive. Yeah, so I think this, this was the basic talk, giving my 5 cents on the World Championships, and I hope that this video would make people happy to see my thoughts on it. And if you have some comments and criticisms, please please comment. And also, I think that in the next World Championships at Korea, probably Japan is going to have a really hard time, really tough time beating all its opponents. Yeah, I really felt that this year. Alright, time to sign off now. Good night, and signing off from Japan. Bye bye.